And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm a big fan of Thunderstone. If you know, I've played Thunderstone since it came out. Thunderstone's a deck building, dungeon building game, and Thunderstone came out and had, I believe, 5 expansions for it, and then they kind of rebooted it with Thunderstone Advance. Now, Thunderstone Advance and Thunderstone were compatible, but there's just that irritation that the cards don't look quite the same, and they changed things and made it better in Thunderstone Advance. So today we're taking a look at the newest expansion for Thunderstone Advance called Worlds Collide. And in Worlds Collide, they take the best cards out of those first sets and basically reprint them, fixing them a little bit, but putting them in the new format. Now, before we take a look at these cards, there's a couple things you need to realize. One, this is not a review of Thunderstone Advance, although you can play Thunderstone Advance with this set. If you'd like to play to learn that, then go look at my Thunderstone Advance review, which will explain how to play the game. But this is to show you how this works as an expansion for those who already have it. Secondly, realize that I play Epic Thunderstone, which they were very nice enough to, in this and the regular Thunderstone Advance books, to put as a variant in the back there, and they even attribute it to me and Richard Launius, although I would argue Richard did the lion's share of the work there. But that's where you use everything. It's a really fun way to play. But anyhow, let's take a look at what's in this set. As you can see, there's lots of different cards that come with this expansion. The expansion also includes a board. So, like I said, you can play this basically as a straight game. It's a double-sided board. Comes with a set of rules and comes with a box in which you can fit everything in case you're full up in the other boxes. Now, as these are reprints of current cards in the game, these come from the first 6, the original game and its 5 expansions, and there is about, I'm guessing, 1/4 of those cards are in this game, maybe a little bit less than 1/4. So there's going to be some cards that I miss, like Fireball, which I miss was in the game, but there are other cards in the original games that made it. Some of these cards were changed dramatically. Some of them were changed not at all. Let's take a closer look real quick at some of the cards. On the left here, you can see the older set version, and then the newer one is on the right. And so here's an example of 2 of the cards, the Stone Guard Bruiser, and here you can see Spears and the Flaming Sword. And you can see, for example, the Flaming Sword is pretty much the exact same, but it is changing it to the new layout. The Guardian Blade is the same too, but up here you can see that the Spear is very different, and the Stone Guard Brute is slightly less powerful in the new set. They kind of balanced him out. So there's going to be differences amongst these cards. If I said one thing about this set, it would be everything in it is fairly basic. Like, I like the Blessed Hammer here. It's a basic, just a strong strength attack. The Chalice Mace, another strength attack, but good for clerics to use. Ambrosia, which is a good food for people to use, which gives them strength. Soulfire, which is still not as good as the Flame, but whatever. Drill Sergeant, I like him because you can destroy a regular to draw 2 cards and gain experience points. I've always liked this guy because it's a way to get experience points before going into the dungeon. A bow. There's not enough ranged weapons in the game, and while I wish they would have replaced all 4 of the old bows, there was the recursive bow that they didn't do and the cursed bow. I liked both of them, but the John Doe bow is still useful. Then we have the Guide, who's that person that I don't know that I've ever used much in the game because I look at him, I don't think he's that useful, but he does have that 2 light. The Dredging Net, the Ritual of Cleansing, the Traitor. That guy just looks evil, but lets you draw cards when you're in a place. A Time Bend, which is a cool spell. Creeping Death, which is one of the more complicated spells in the set, and affects other players because you can give other players diseases and hurt the monsters themselves. A Border Guard, a Feast, which has always been one of my favorite food cards because it adds attack 1 and strength 3 to each of your heroes. Very useful at the beginning of the game when you have mostly just regulars in your deck. Chieftain's Drum, Now let's take a look at some of the heroes. As I said, the cards in this set are essentially very basic. So you have your thief here, who has a physical attack 1, and then, you know, at their highest level, their physical attack is still only 2, but they can make other players discard cards. Now notice, her money value is really high. That's the benefit of a thief. You can use her in a dungeon, and she gives you money in town. We have basically the medium, the Thoas people here who get good magic attacks, and another card that affects other people. I'm glad they have more of these in the game because it keeps the game from becoming too solitaire. Here's a guy with a physical attack, and you can destroy a weapon in the dungeon or a weapon from the village to add a physical attack equal to that weapon's weight. Really cool, really useful, powerful person. The initiate here starts at a physical attack 1, moves up to a physical attack of 4, lets you take a spell. The trapper, he's +2, and he's +2 if you have a monster in your hand, or he can go up to 4, and other people have to get rid of a monster. The Clan Sergeant, one of my favorite characters from the game period, so I'm really glad they reprinted him, who has a physical attack 2, and adds that physical attack +1 to each other equipped hero. So as he gets more, he's 4, but +3 to each other equipped hero. So if you have several heroes with weapons, this guy is amazing. The Stone Guard Brute, another one of my favorite guys, just because he's so powerful and he has extra attack when he's equipped, and can eventually lead mercenaries. This guy is just your basic magic guy, but you get an experience point when you use him. This guy, you can level up a hero in a dungeon, which is a neat thing. The Dark Animator, who can eventually bring monsters back to life in a sense where you add the magic attack equal to the total victory points of all the monsters that you have in your hand, which I really like her. These are really some of the greatest heroes that have come out from this game, the Divine Healer and the Divine Prophet. The game also has a whole pile of different monsters. Here we have the Abyssal, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. We have those monsters and dragons. And this is great because these are the monsters that people expect to see in a game. So we have different kinds of dragons, and when we have undead, and we have giants. I like the giants. There's a fire giant. And then we have spiders. Of course, everyone hates spiders, and there's always a spider queen. Not too many games have a spider king, I've noticed. And then we have oozes and the green blob and Doom Knights. And then the game comes with several guardians that you can fight against who go from kind of bad to incredibly nasty. The game also comes with many different dividers, but what thrills me about this particular game is that it comes with dividers that are specifically for the epic version of Thunderstone. For example, they just say level 3 monsters, or, you know, weapons, things that give you light, or spells and magic things, or weapons. And this is a really cool thing for those of us who like to play epic. I should also mention that this comes with more of the plastic pieces to use for experience points. You need that, of course, to play a full game, and of course another pile of diseases. Well, for me, I was hanging on to all those old cards from those previous sets. I'm getting rid of them. Now, part of me sitting there going, but they already replaced 1/4 of them. Just get rid of the ones they replaced. But you know what? It's really been bugging me for a while now how all these cards look differently anyway. Maybe they'll do a Worlds Collide Part 2 someday and bring back some of the other cards. Fireball! Okay, maybe they will, but even if they don't, there's enough stuff out for Thunderstone Advance. If you get Thunderstone Advance Numenera, and I think there's like 4 other expansions for it now, there really is a ton of stuff. This game comes with, I mean, it explains how to play it. You know, if you've never played before, the board is very helpful. They tell you what's new here if you're coming to this from the regular Thunderstone. It's really cool, and they have, like I said, the Epic Thunderstone, which if you've never played, that is the best way to play. It is the only way I play at this point in time. But either way, as a starting set, this is a really good one. I mean, there are 3 excellent starting sets for Thunderstone Advance. You got Thunderstone Advance Numenera, and now this one. That is 3 excellent ways to get into the game. The stuff in this one's very basic, very easy, and yet fits really well in with everything you've already had in Thunderstone Advance. So if you're just looking to get involved in the game, get this. If you already own Thunderstone, and you say, I don't want to pay for the upgrades to the cards, I just want to keep using my old Thunderstone cards, I can see that, okay? I don't know that people should waste money. If you're happy with the mix mash of cards, and you already own a lot of these cards, then that wouldn't be worth it for you. But if you're someone like me, who really, I wish everything looked the same, and they put a little bit of playtesting and more balancing into these cards, then maybe you want to get it. But if you've never got any of these old sets, you definitely want to get this. So anyway, it's great. I'm really glad they did this. You know, we sometimes wish that, you know, they didn't have to do second versions of everything, but I'm glad they do because it only makes the game better. Worlds collide. Excellent.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!
There.